Everybody, big to small, young to old, FGC pro to newcomer, will get frustrated playing this game. This game is made to frustrate people. This is a very sadistic game. All right, guys, long time no see. Now, some can say I've been proven right since my last video of dissing 2SKL. Not really dissing it, but complaining about the graphical art style. I'm not here to say I told you so, haha. I'm just gonna try and show a different perspective on the frustrations of 2SKL and what you would see from a practical point of view. Call this an autopsy of 2SKL. All right, we finally logged in, so let's play. And you already know more frustrations is incoming and fast. I shouldn't see a UI of a game that looks like Tekken 8 out of all the Tekkens you could pull from. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Go into the virtual quest lobby, you know. Have you noticed something? There's no option to save a team and fuse select combination. You know, the game that they think is the Bible to FGC, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, you know, the game that the developers are so in love with. You could do it there. So every time you go into a match, training, casual, ranked, you have to manually select your character, select your color. Oh, and look what just happened. If you don't select fast enough, then it automatically boosts you out of the training mode and you have to go again. Why does it do that? Who knows? So again, yeah, you don't want to talk bad about the intelligence of who made this game, but it leaves a lot to be desired. Let me just say that. Look how many things I have to select just to get to the game. It's crazy. Okay, we're finally here, right? Okay, cool, I get to play the game. I don't like the controls. Let me change the controls. Okay, cool, like any other fighting game, I'm gonna press start and change the controls. Oh wait, you can't change the controls here. For some reason, and I keep speaking about it like it's a mystery because I don't know what they were smoking making this game. In the in-game menu, you cannot change the controls. There's no way to change the controls unless you go all the way back to the main menu. You have to remove yourself from training mode, press start. Why couldn't this be in the in-game? I don't know. Then I have to go back to training mode and then press a million buttons successfully in order to just get to the game. It's like whoever made this game's a sadist. They like sadistic things, you know? I better hurry up because it's gonna boot me out again. I better hurry up. Why would it do that? I don't know. So it'd be one thing if there's a timer telling me, hey, how much time do I have until it auto selects for me? Because you know, in normal fighting games, like older ones, like Tekken 3, Tekken 2 or Tekken 3 or 4, if you reach the time limit, then it'll auto select for you and it'll proceed to the stage select, right? A normal fighting game wants you to play the game. This game is kind of telling you don't play this game because it boosts you out of the game rather than forcing you in the game. It's just funny how retarded the decision making in this game is. I can't make this up. So do you see how painful that process was just to get to the game, just to set up my controls? All of these things contribute as to why people don't like this game, as to why it gets a lot of hate, as to why it was eventually going to get a lot of hate, even after the honeymoon phase was over. This was just a very brief, swift honeymoon phase. I thought it'd last a bit longer, but I, at least offline, was on record saying, oh, this game's gonna die. Because who is this game made for? And the more I play it online, I'm thinking, oh, they're so inept at making a fighting game. They accidentally made a competitive fighting game, even though they were trying to make a beginner fighting game. But in terms of the feelings and emotions you'll get from playing this game, then everybody, big to small, young to old, FGC pro to newcomer, will get frustrated playing this game. This game is made to frustrate people. This is a very sadistic game. I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm speaking in truth after logging in many hours in this game. For the winner and the loser, it's frustrating. So let me talk about why. First off, let's talk about grabs. What's the purpose of a quick grab in a fighting game? Why do you think older, traditional, better fighting games had faster grabs? They often had 0-frame grabs. Why do you think it was the norm to have proximity 0-frame grabs, which obviously makes it stronger because you don't have to think about inputting and manually doing grab? Because it was a guardrail to overly aggressive play. Because even back then, when people knew how to make fighting games, and they knew that it'd be a serious problems if somebody was being over aggressive, somebody was comboing you to death when you couldn't get any chance to breathe. So there will be a consequence to getting too close to someone, right? Especially if I can do a proximity tilt throw to where if you're, you know, like right here, and you're pummeling me, then I can do this, and now I have you against the wall. Then I can start doing stuff, right? When playing this game online, I noticed that every time I tried to do a grab, I'd get counter hit, and I get interrupted from a grab. And obviously, you have legacy fighting game knowledge, so you're just going to be doing grabs on the reaction if somebody's close to you, and the timing, you play so many fighting games like me, then this is natural. But every time I do a grab, I get interrupted, so I'm like, whoa, like something is different with this game when it comes to grabbing. And lo and behold, I went to training mode and looked at this beautiful menu on the bottom and saw that, yo, did you see that on the bottom left? Let me do it again. Yasuo's grab is 6 frames slow, which in this game you can do some very bad things, right? This is just a basic Yasuo combo that gets him half health, and I didn't even try to do additional hits or to, you know, do an optimal based combo. That got V half health. Remember, this game is very easy to do. There's no motion inputs, and there's a lot of time to input your moves. The characters are under a lot of hit stun. So ideally in the game, especially like this, you'd want natural defensive mechanics, like a fast grab. Again, I feel like I play a lot of fighting games. I've never seen a grab from a traditional styled game, a 2v2 game in the realm of a Marvel vs. Capcom. I've never seen it 6 frames slow. What that's telling me is that the developers do not want you to grab. They don't want grab to be a critical, important option. They instead want you to mash buttons. They don't want you grabbing, because that's 6 frames slow, and I do my jab, which is also 6 frames. Why is a grab? It'd be one thing if it's Tekken, to where more is going on than just a back and forth. There's a 3D space, there's strings, there's a more complex neutral, to where in that case, a grab is going to be slower than your quickest jab. But why is this Tekken-like to where your jab is as quick as your grab? This is 6 frames fast. And again, I'd be willing to bet the developers haven't thought about what is the purpose of a grab in a fighting game anyway, you know? Or at the very least, why has fighting games traditionally had fast grabs? Again, if you want to get a Yasuo off you, if I'm doing all this stuff, then of course you'd want to have a grab from a traditional fighting game. You wish you had a Street Fighter 2 grab in this game, but because you don't, then everyone's frustrated, you know? Second thing is the fact that the hit stun is so large that people sleep on the ground. I'm doing something like, then I have all the time in the world to hit V when she's on the ground, right? And again, the standard was created in Marvel 3, in my opinion, when it comes to characters sleeping on the ground, taking a nap, and you have all the freedom in the world to do anything you want. Because in Marvel 2, it was difficult to OTG somebody off the ground, right? They're catering to a crowd that doesn't like difficulty, I understand, but there's drawbacks when it comes to that. If I have all the time in the world to do that, then that also benefits pro players. That's not just benefits newcomers, but that benefits people who are experienced in fighting games either. Which means that somebody like me, I'm never going to drop a combo, you know? Because it's too easy. Because I'm used to harder games, right? So if I'm playing this game, then as a pro player, my offense is going to be very oppressive, because you've made it easy for me as well to not drop combos. And I already have a natural leg up over someone who just started. So you're making it easier for newcomers, but you're making it more unforgiving for newcomers too, to face against old timers. So let's say a more harder, higher damaging Yasuo combo that involves harder strings. What's hard in this game is just medium difficulty for those who play real fighting games, right? I'm not saying that disparagingly, I'm just saying, let me say more competitive fighting games. So something like this. So using a technical character like Yasuo and doing a hard combo with a technical character, to those of us who play fighting games, that is just moderately difficult. But to those who are new to games, then that's damn near impossible. Or at the very least, you're not going to consistently get that. Which means that for the pro player, I'm going to have a huge advantage versus playing most of other people, unless they also are, good at fighting games or have played fighting games, right? But I thought this game was for newcomers. I thought this game was for people who never played a fighting game. I thought this game was for people coming in from League of Legends. I'm confused. So I'm getting mixed messages here. And you guys already know in terms of the recent statement they did, they're confused as well. Let's just say that. Okay, so continuing on the autopsy of this game, we have to talk about the buffer system. Notice here, to do a super attack, you usually need to press a normal plus a special. So if I press L and S1, then it'll give me a super by combining them like this. Right? So now, obviously there's a huge buffer system. So let's say I do it as quick as possible, which is press M and S1, right? Like this. You see on the bottom, it comes out in 6 frames. if I just press it exactly at the same time. It's 6 frames. Now, obviously, I don't have to press it at the same time. I can literally press M and S1 in a quick succession and it'll still come out like this. And then it'll come out. Look at that, it just said 10 frames, right? Which means that there's a 4-frame buffer of me hitting medium and then hitting special 1. The latest I was able to get it is to where it said 11 frames on the window below. Oh, that might be it. There we go. So it says 11 frames, as you can see, which means I have 5-frame gap in order to do a special move. Then you know that people constantly accidentally do supers. Combine that with Yasuo and the fact that he needs to go into stances by pressing down S1, right? So obviously I'm going to be going into stances many times. So you're constantly going into stances with Yasuo. So consider the buffer system. You can already see the potential pitfalls when it comes to, not potential, the realized pitfalls. Yasuos are constantly accidentally doing special at any random time. So for Yasuo, if I fail to press down while doing S1 and I go to like a heavy slash into here, because you want to do that if you do that, which is a combo, right? Or you do like a down slash and you do that into a combo. You can just imagine if I go to here and 4 special and I go into stance, which I can then combo, right? What I'm saying is I'm constantly going to be pressing L, M, or H in combination with S1 because of pressing normal into a special. So if I missed it down, then what do you think is going to happen? I'm going to constantly accidentally keep doing this because there's 5-frame gaps and I need to go into here faster than 5 frames if I want to optimize my Yasuo play. So which means I'm constantly going to be hitting special accidentally, you know, when trying to go into stance and just doing it randomly like this, cool down and get blown up. What I'm saying is that the controls for this game actually fundamentally do not work. The controls are actually a malfunctioning asset of this game. More part of the sadistic frustration, yeah? And if you think about it, they tried to make the game so easy by splitting controls into a million different buttons and by making it to where there's no motion inputs that they actually made it harder for everyone to play the game. Which means that they made it to where it's even more of a competitive game because only people who are very technical and who have their timings down very perfectly can do Yasuo stuff, you know? You know what I'm saying? Because other Yasuos who may not have as much of the timing down are going to constantly be doing accidental specials, you know? Everybody's going to be doing accidental specials, actually. Again, frustrating for everyone, but it's going to be less frustrating for those who understand this and who have their timing down very strict, because it requires more strict timing in order to play what's otherwise a normal technical character, because they've simplified the controls so much that they've made it more complex. What I'm saying is the creators are idiots. That's what I'm saying. Long story short, too long didn't read, you know. Yeah. Actually, dissecting this game is hilarious. It's just like, wow. It's just a what not to do when it comes to fighting games. So yeah. All right, the last point when it comes to the gameplay of how terrible this game is the fact that there's no variation of properties depending on where you hit a certain move. There isn't different hit properties according to which part of the hitbox the move impacts. Let me give you an example. For a move like this, you'll notice it's plus 17. It's plus 17, this one's plus 17 as well. And the reaction is the same no matter where the person's hit from, right? See how wide that slash is? Doesn't matter where she's hitting that slash, she's going to react the same way, right? There's no variance. Try for Yasuo when he does his S1. Obviously, they're too far out if they get hit by this move because it's a good poking tool. So you want to do this, go into stance and press forward, right? So and while you're pressing forward, he can do certain moves while he advances or while he retreats. So while he's advancing, you want to do that, which to close the distance to get a combo, right? So you go. Notice how I'm hitting them at the very far end of the move, right? To where the hitbox kind of isn't even initially hitting B and it's still the same reaction. I think this is the biggest issue why the game just doesn't feel good to play, right? Let's take a move like this. See how wide that hitbox is? It goes literally 75% of the screen. It goes more than half across the screen, and anywhere you get hit from the move, it's going to do the same thing, right? Same thing. Same thing, that move too, right? They react the exact same. And the only way they may not react differently is if you do a limit strike. So it has to be a developer inputted variance when it comes to something like a limit strike. But I have all day to hit them wherever I hit them at the hitbox, and they still react the same way, which makes comboing easier because I know what to expect. It's not like Super Smash Bros. Melee to where there could be phantom hits, there could be changes in the recoil of the opponent depending on where you hit it. Even a game like Marvel's Capcom 2 is the same way when it comes to characters doing long hitboxes like maybe a Guile or Charlie, and depending on where you hit it, they'll react differently, which creates more variance in the game, which stifles just playing a mechanical way, stifles the sameness of it, right? Because more variance, more things to look out for means that combos aren't as easy to do. Here, every time I do something like this, I know it's going to hit, you know? There's no variance. No move is doing anything differently depending on where I hit it. If I hit it here, this stomp is a great example. If I hit it here, it's not doing anything differently. The only thing that is different in this game, which is obviously just the basic level, is if you hit a certain move, depending on where you hit a certain move, then your plus minus will change. Obviously, when it comes to like this, if I hit it up here, it'll be +5, right? If I hit it very low, then it'll be +12, like you see. So just the basics when it comes to how plus minus you are, but not the hit properties. This creates an atmosphere to where combos are even easier to do. The game is more frustrating, and you need things like a free break. People more often than not aren't going to drop combos as much as other games because all the combined reasons why I talked about is just too easy to do. There's no changes. People sleep on the ground. Damage is very high octane, and so you need Guilty Gear mechanics in a melee game. You know, that already shows you that they don't know what type of game they're making. Why? It's like a mosh posh of other games. So not only do you have your Guilty Gear mechanics, you have your like DOA mechanics when it comes to the counters. So you're taking mechanics from other games to try and stymie the overzealous offense that you intentionally created. You know what I mean? You don't know how to natively make an original game and to make it balanced. So you just keep stealing from other games. Make this like a hodgepodge of different mechanics, which ultimately isn't going to solve the issue when it comes to extremely long combos, you know? Is that moves are too consistent. They're too consistent across the board, which makes it feel that moves are sticky, and it makes it feel like they have infinite priority. It's not a good feeling to get hit in this game, because if it does the same thing, then you're punished for daring not to block at this range, which means I can just do a hit confirm and then do this, and it'll work every time. And I can expect it to work every time because from a move mechanic standpoint, it's a brain dead game. See, because of all that, the game is just going to be to get in, you know, cross them up, and then begin a combo. It's just who can launch first. That's what the game is, you know. It's the problems that a Marvel 3 had and other games like DNF Duel has, but it's just on steroids on this game. It's who launches who first. It's not a fighting game. It's just a launcher setup game, you know. So that's a problem. The moves they don't really feel that good to hit, and they definitely don't feel good to get hit by, because everything is so sticky. Like I said, it's like these are these little things that someone who's unexperienced won't notice, you know. They'll may be frustrated, and they may not want to play the game.